Hey everyone, we're in episode 12 of Wing Sisters, and today I'm Birgitte Young, also go by B for those of you who don't know me, and this is my friend Cindi. And initially, I found her on Facebook, and she's also known as Florida Go Girl. And then when I was in Florida, long and behold, somebody gave me her phone number and we're like chatting. And she was the one that introduced me to that, like some of the most awesome wing community on the East Coast. And I really, really appreciate her. And I felt like I got such a warm welcome. And I thought, I'm going to spend some more time with this girl. So I called her up and asked if we want to do this episode. So, Cindi, who are you besides winging? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first, thanks so much for inviting me to be here. I really enjoyed getting to meet you last year, and I'm glad that you enjoyed coming to Stewart. I think we have a really nice community there at the Causeway, and we try to welcome new people. And so it's great to hear that that was your experience. And yeah, so I'm just a regular gal who wing foils and goes out on the ocean to play. And
Awesome. So,
um,
what is your background, or what do you do in life, or like, yeah, tell us a little bit about that part.
Sure. Well, I'm retired now, so I have a lot of free time. I had a career in the Air Force, and then now I'm just doing what I can to get out and be healthy and enjoy myself and managing my time.
Awesome, awesome. So how did you first learn about wing foiling?
My brother Scott introduced me to it,
Oh,
and
I think I met
I
Scott when I was there. Like,
I think you probably met Scott. He's usually there if he's not in the ocean.
oh,
And he told me about it. He was interested. I was a little skeptical about the whole foil thing, but he was having fun. And then I said, well, let me just get on your board on my knees and put a wing in my hand and see how that feels. And in like 5 minutes, I knew that I wanted to get into the sport. And
yeah.
that was about 2.5 years ago. So,
Wow.
yes,
You've done that
my
very
brother
well.
got me into it. And at the time, I had come to Florida to help take care of my dad. I'd been living in Colorado for 10 or 12 years, and I expected that I would go back. And then I started wing foiling, and here I am, settled in Florida.
It does some things, wonderful things to you, doesn't it?
It does.
Um, And so you want to try because your brother was doing it, and it's very cool to be able to do something like this with family too. I mean, it's great to have wingfoil friends, and then if we have family members that want to do it too, that's awesome. That's what I'm praying for.
It's really fantastic. And you don't often see grown-up siblings or middle-aged siblings out doing sports together.
Right?
And people sort of got used to us as, oh, that's that brother and sister who are out winging. And I think it's just really special. I mean, my best days on the water are absolutely when I'm out there with him.
Yes, right. So I was going to put us in a side view. And, for those of you who are watching this video, I'm just learning this along with everyone that jumps on here. And it's kind of like wing foiling, you just like jump into it and you learn as you go. So let me see if I could do that. Okay, that's better. Okay,
Okay.
awesome. So what are some of your favorite wing spots that you visited? And that, or maybe some spots that you go to regularly that you love.
Sure. Well, I'm really lucky to live in such a beautiful place here in South Florida. So, Jupiter Beach, which is just down the road from me, I mean, the water is absolutely spectacular and it's home for me. That's where I grew up. So anytime I get to go in Jupiter, that's definitely going to be my favorite local spot. The shore pound can get pretty gnarly there, so sometimes we end up at the causeway. Up in Fort Pierce, which is just about 45 minutes north, on a northeast wind and a big swell. It's just a special place to ride. But this year I got to do some traveling and bring my wingboard with me. So that was a fun adventure. I was on a sailing trip in Greece
Wow.
and I was able to bring my gear and foil right off the back of the boat in the Greek islands.
Oh my gosh.
And that was just a special experience for sure. I mean,
Do you
that's
know some of the islands who you visited or kind of swung by?
Yeah, we ended up actually because of a pretty strong north wind, they call it a Meltemi. We ended up with a boat in a marina on Naxos for about a week. So I actually got off the boat and I went to the Naxos Kite Center right there on the beach and went wing foiling from the beach for about 4 days. So
Wow.
that was one of those win-win because I was sailing on the boat, but then the north wind came. And even though it wasn't good sailing conditions, I was able to get out and go wing foil.
Yeah,
And it
I
was
know.
just spectacular.
That's awesome. Yeah, I only windsurfed on the Greek islands, and that's kind of how I learned to windsurf back in the days. I remember the um, that north wind. One time I was actually getting taken away from the island because where I learned that it was mostly offshore wind.
Oh,
And what I didn't know, it's outside a certain point, there was also a current. So I had to get picked up by a boat. But it's nice when you have the boat with you. So that must have been really cool.
yeah.
When
I mean, I
out
was just
there and
jumping in off the back of the boat. We were on an anchor, and
yeah.
then I just got in off the back of the boat and went winging around the boat basically. But the water there is just phenomenal. You can
Oh,
be in
so
50
clear. It's so
feet.
pretty.
It's like 50 feet and you're looking all the way to the bottom.
It's amazing. It really
Yeah,
is. I want to go back one day. I've been many
definitely.
times. But
Yeah. So I went there and then I took the opportunity to go out to the gorge in Hood River this summer and that was so different. It was my first trip there and it's so unique. It's just a fun machine.
yeah.
And so that was just another fun travel adventure for me and I'm going to go back next summer. And it's just a special place. It's really unique. And then I really missed the ocean though while I was there. So it's fun to be back here in Florida. And like
Yeah.
I said, I'm just lucky I live in just such a beautiful spot that's really conducive to winging in the wintertime, especially. So I feel pretty
Yeah,
fortunate.
that's awesome. I spent about a week in that area, and I know exactly what she's talking about. The community too, and I think you're doing an event there coming up in January, right? So if people want to come visit, they can.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I'm calling it the Ride Like a Girl Festival.
Awesome.
And I'll tell you what, it started out, I just wanted to see if I could get a bunch of women together all on foil in a photo. And as I was talking to different women, it seems like I know quite a few women who foil, but they don't all know each other. So I thought, oh, let's just get everybody together and it
That's
would be
good.
fun to get on foil together. So I thought, well, I'll just make it an event and put it on Facebook and see if
Yeah,
we can get more people to show up.
I may just have to come for that.
That'd be fantastic. January 18th.
Okay, we'll think about it. If I can fit it in with my other plant trips, there's so many places to go and people to see. But my son also lives in Florida, so I got a lot of good reasons.
You do.
Yeah. So, how does being on the water make you feel, and what's the best part for you?
That's a great question because there's a lot of elements to winging or any kind of foiling. Of course, exercise is good for the body, good for the soul. But then we're outside. It's not like just being on a spinning bike in a gym. You're outside, you're in the fresh air. So it just feels invigorating and healthy. And then, of course, there's the riding on foil, which is, it's like flying. I think that feeling when you first get on foil and everything goes quiet,
Mhm.
it's just a magic carpet ride. It's thrilling. And I think with foiling, one of the things that I like is that there's something for everybody on foil. You can just go cruising along, just gently and casually relaxed, like touring around looking at the sea life, or you can go high adrenaline and everything in between. And so it's just such an opportunity to go out there and make it be whatever's going to work for you.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to be said for that too. One thing that was like after my car accident last summer, when I finally got back on the water, I a friend of mine who actually makes his own foils, he was telling me that if I just stay a little bit lower in the water and don't come all the way up, that everything is more stable. And I was like unstable still because I had been injured. And so there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of ways to ride, and some you can have a gentle ride. If you need a little bit safer ride, you can do that. I love all the nuances and all the different ways to do it to fit exactly what it is you need that day, right?
Oh, absolutely. And then the
So
other thing is we're out there, certainly here in Florida when we're in the ocean. I mean, the sea life is out there. And so, you just, the salt water feels so good on your skin and the nice warm sun. And you might even be sitting on your board, taking a rest, or maybe the wind crashed and you're just drifting around for a little bit. Then you look over and there's a manatee or a big sea turtle, or you're riding around on foil looking in the water at dolphins and fish. And it's such a great feeling to be out there with nature.
yeah,
And it's not all about just whatever wave you're on or how fast you're going on foil.
yes, you're right. So there's been times I've seen sea life too, and I'm thinking, I just I just thank God that I get to be part of this because it's so fabulous. Um, So, what is your consistency level, you'd say, for getting on the water, or what might be getting in the way?
Well, because I'm retired, I really have a lot of time on my hands. And I I go a lot, maybe 5 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. It just, sometimes I admit there's occasions when I'm actually excited because there's going to be no wind so that I can get some real life things done, like go to the grocery store and do some laundry. But I I'm absolutely really fortunate to be in the position where I have a lot of free time. So I just organize my life around the weather. And and then it's a little bit of managing my fitness, trying to do some other things for fitness and recover from some other exercise, and really sort of a hobby management thing. But the foiling always seems to win.
Yeah, yeah. What's the hobby management?
I like to do a lot of things.
All
So
right.
it's you're always giving up one hobby to do another hobby. It's
Right.
even though I have a lot of time, there's still only so many hours of daylight and I only have so much energy
Yeah.
that I can be putting into most of my hobbies are sports oriented. So
Yeah.
there's only so much movement I can do in a day, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna,
And I've
gonna
seen you
wear
out
out.
there, and I was thinking myself, oh my gosh, I love her energy level, and it's so awesome. First it was wing foiling, and then just like, can you give me a ride because I want to do a downwinder, and I didn't know the area, so I got a little tour at the same time. It was perfect. So I love that you try, you continue to challenge yourself and that you're looking for the things that um, that would for more experiences like that and new things that most people aren't doing, right?
Definitely. I think with foiling, there's a lot of opportunities. Some days we're doing flat water tricks at the causeway. So it's fun to work on some new skills and moves. And then other days we're out in the ocean, just looking for the biggest waves that we can handle. And then I started the downwind sup foiling, and that's just a whole new experience. It's a similar but different element of the foiling. It's a different discipline, and so it's a whole new learning curve. And once you're on foil, it's very similar, but it's definitely something I've put a lot of energy into. And then it makes me really appreciate having a wing in my hand.
I can see that because I tried it too, and it's definitely challenging. Um, So, so understanding the nature of this sport, most of it had us had to adjust. I don't know if you were already retired when you started winging, but I think you already mentioned that, you've adjusted because you may give up one hobby for another one. But any other adjustments you feel like you made in your life to fit in more time for winging or on the water in general?
I'd say definitely. I I was doing quite a bit of sailing and traveling, so I've perhaps cut back on some of my traveling, especially this time of year because it's just so beautiful to be winging here in Florida that I
Yeah.
don't like to be away too long. And then I think also there's the practical side that we're buying gear. It's not a one and done event for sure. So there are times where I think through, well, if I want to buy a new wing, how do I fit that into the budget? And I think those are just the practical things. Like
Yeah.
I said, it's because I'm retired, it's just a matter of how much time do I want to spend winging versus doing some other things. But
Yeah.
again, I have a really flexible schedule. And so I can imagine, well, my brother works. And so this time of year it gets dark early and he's racing to get to the water to get a session in before it gets dark.
Mhm.
And, or he's trying to make the most of it on the weekends when he's off, and I have a lot more opportunity to say, well, I'm not going to go today.
Yeah. Nice. So what are some of your favorite takeaways from being part of the wind sport community
Oh, that's a great question.
or the water sport community? You know.
Sure. Well, I think with winging, it is maybe because it's new and you're in this community, so you're watching all these people learn. So there was people who were already good when I showed up, and I was the beginner and I got a lot of help. And then I watched new people come in, and it's really fun to watch the newcomers. And I think it feels like we're expanding our ring community and getting to know each other. It's so fun to watch somebody who started and they're having their struggles. And then the next thing you know, they're up on foil. And you think, oh, a year later, there they are doing jives and tacks and riding waves. And so it's just such a nice community. And I think that we all are having fun winging and trying to get better, and we don't socialize maybe as much as some other activities, because we're just, you say hi on the beach and then you go get in the water, and you can only socialize so much while you're actively winging. But I still think that it's it's just such a positive environment, and at the end of the day we go home knowing that it's not just about the winging.
Yes, absolutely. I feel the same way. I'm just very fortunate to be part of a community like this. So how has learning to wing helped you in other areas of your life? And if so, how do you think?
Well, I think that it's a good reminder of, like most sports, working hard, feeling proud of your effort, seeing improvement. But also with winging, it really forces you to be in the moment because you have to pay attention to what you're doing.
Yes.
So, especially when you're learning, it's so much concentration that whatever else is going on in your life, you can get a break from it. And even as you get better, you still have to pay attention to what you're doing. And the fun part of it is while you're out there having that experience. And I think also it's a good reminder not to take ourselves too seriously. I mean,
Amen to that one.
we want to get better. It's always fun when you are putting in a lot of effort and getting better at something. But I think, I joke, I'm doing this downwind subfoiling now, and it's hard. And that's a generous term. And some days you're out there and the struggle is just frustrating. And then I just try to remember, well, I saw a turtle or I got up on foil because that's what I'm really trying to do. And maybe I think I should be farther along. And the truth is, it doesn't matter if I have the best run ever or the worst one. My status as a professional is unchanged. I'm just out there trying to have fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it, is just to laugh at ourselves.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Somebody was asking me, or I get a lot of questions from new wing foilers, and they're like, what do you think has helped you the most?" And I say I have three takeaways always when I come off the water. Sometimes it was the what you saw on the water, just like you're saying, and your experience. And then sometimes it's a new trick you learned, or you feel like you got something you didn't know before. And sometimes the conditions are so harsh that you came in alive, and that is the winner. Or sometimes you just got good exercise because you never got up on foil. So, like, as long as we keep our mindset about, like, our biggest issue in life, I think, is what's going on between our two ears, and what's going on in our head, and like managing that, and just be thankful for what we have. Just like you're saying, is definitely something that's helped me. So,
I
thank you
agree.
so
It's
much.
really humbling. I mean, you go out there and maybe you've had a lot of success, and then every time you want to learn something new, then you're just going to crash and go swimming a whole bunch. And that's the case with everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe some people can learn a trick in 5 attempts and somebody else it takes 50, but everybody's going to have this experience where they're out there, they're crashing, they're working hard, they're learning. So it's humbling. And again, it's all just about having fun out there,
Right.
and realizing that, one of the things that we sort of talk about on our beach there in Stewart is it's really fun to watch people who are good. If you're out there and you can throw a backflip or you can do some kind of crazy move, it's really fun to watch. But if you're not a nice person, it's not fun to have you on our beach. And so it's really about just, when I look at what I want when I'm out there riding or I'm with other people, I want people to be safe. to be nice, and to be having fun.
Yeah, very, very good. Thank you for those words of wisdom, and we appreciate your time and looking forward to see you live too soon.